All right, let's dive right in. We are going to break down the 5 most important Terraform commands you are going to be using, well, pretty much every single day to build, manage, and even tear down your cloud infrastructure. These are the commands that really form the backbone of modern DevOps.
You know that feeling, right? If you've ever managed cloud infrastructure, you've been there. That little knot in your stomach, worrying that your dev environment is just slightly different from production, and you just know it's waiting to cause a massive headache late on a Friday night. All it takes is one tiny, undocumented click, and boom, what worked everywhere else just dies in production.
So, the solution to all this chaos? It's a huge shift in thinking, called Infrastructure as Code, or IAC for short. We're talking about moving away from those fragile, inconsistent environments that were built by hand, and moving towards something that's rock solid and totally reproducible. Your infrastructure becomes just as reliable and version controlled as your actual application code.
And that is where Terraform comes into the picture. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like this. Your Terraform code, that's the detailed architectural blueprint for your entire cloud setup. And Terraform itself, it's the automated construction crew. It just reads that blueprint and builds your infrastructure perfectly, exactly to spec, every single time. No guesswork.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but what does this actually look like day to day? Well, it all boils down to a really simple, repeatable rhythm you'll use on every single project. Let's call it the core workflow.
At its heart, the process is incredibly simple and, more importantly, safe. First, you initialize your project, kind of like getting all your tools ready. Then, and this is key, you get a full preview of what's about to happen. Only after you approve that preview does Terraform actually build anything. And when you're all done, a single command cleans everything up.
The very first command you'll run in any new project is terraform init. Think of this as setting up your construction site. It doesn't build a thing yet. It just goes out and downloads all the necessary plugins for your cloud provider, whether that's AWS, Google Cloud, or Azure, and it gets all the tools ready to go. Next up is, and I'm not exaggerating here, arguably Terraform's most powerful safety feature. Before you make a single change, you run Terraform plan. This is the magic step that prevents so many accidents. What it does is a complete dry run. Terraform reads your code, it looks at what already exists out there in the cloud, and it generates this super detailed execution plan. It tells you exactly what it's going to create, what it's going to update, and even what it's going to destroy. This gives you this amazing predictability and just stops those accidental destructive changes in their tracks. And here is the crucial part. Terraform just pauses. It shows you the plan and it waits. It's waiting for your approval. Nothing happens to your real-world cloud resources until you look at that plan and say, yep, that looks right. So once you've reviewed the plan and you've given it the green light, you run Terraform apply. This is the command that brings your blueprint to life. Terraform takes that exact plan it just showed you and executes it, building or modifying your infrastructure until it perfectly matches your code. And finally, when you're done, maybe it was just a temporary environment for testing or a feature branch, you run Terraform destroy. It reads your configuration one last time and safely removes every single resource it created. It's a clean, complete, no-mess teardown. But wait a minute. How does Terraform know what it's already built, right? How does it know what to change or what to destroy? The answer is the brain behind the whole operation, a little something called the state file. This state file is basically the record that maps your code to real-world resources. Now, in any team setting, you use what's called remote state to store this file safely, because it's that important. So, to figure out what to do, Terraform is constantly comparing 3 things. First, the desired state, which is just what you wrote in your .tf code files. Second, the current state, which is what Terraform recorded in that state file from the last time it ran. And finally, the actual state, what really exists out there in your cloud provider right now. Its entire job is to calculate the difference between these and make reality match your code. Okay, so we've built our infrastructure. Awesome. But a lot of the time, we need to get information back from it. I mean, if you just created a new web server, you're probably going to need its public IP address to, connect to it. And to solve exactly that, Terraform has our 5th essential command, Terraform output. After you run apply and everything is built, you can use this command to easily pull up and display any key bits of information that you've defined as an output in your code. So for instance, you can define an output for your new server's public IP address. After it's created, you just type Terraform output, and boom, it prints the value right to your screen. It makes it incredibly simple to get the exact data you need for the next step of your process. So why does this simple 5-command workflow matter so much? Let's kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture here, which is the DevOps advantage. Because this isn't just about technical convenience. It fundamentally changes how teams work together. I mean, think about it. With your infrastructure defined as code, it's visible and documented for everybody. You get this rock-solid stability because every single deployment is consistent and reproducible. You can scale incredibly complex environments by just defining them once and deploying them over and over. Every change is logged in version control like Git, giving you a perfect audit trail. And, crucially, all infrastructure changes can go through a peer review process, which dramatically improves your security. And that really brings us to the final thought. Terraform gives you the power to describe, to version, and to automatically build literally any piece of cloud infrastructure you can possibly imagine. So the real question isn't what you can build, it's what couldn't you build. That's the real power of infrastructure as code.